Welcome to The Circle, where we tap into the journey of life, spirituality, and wellness. We are the BoujAunties.
I know that first, second, third, maybe that second step right after the turn up, it could turn into something real crazy. I say something, you say something. I say something, you say, we fight, right?
Yeah.
That's the thing, right? And whether the fight is physical or emotional, it still becomes worrisome. Right. When I'm thinking about what it is I'm trying to accomplish. Right. And so not to say that I've always been a person who could just fall back and get quiet, right? Because the power for me is in the quiet. It's real easy to just tell somebody about themselves. Yeah. But you can't take those words back. Right. And so most recently, I think this was probably maybe 14 years ago, I allowed myself, and I've done it before then, but that time, I looked at the person and I saw what I did to them. Yeah. I was like, I don't ever want to be the person to make anybody feel this low about themselves. Right. So the things that came out of my mouth and the coldness of it, I was like, yo, like that's freaking mean. And they deserve the cuss out, but I came to a knife fight with guns blazing and just tearing a person down and just watching them going, like, not know what to do.
But what does that say about you, though?
What is said about me at that time was that I understood that I could hurt her. Right. I could hurt, and it was a job. It wasn't any, like, life or death situation. It was a managerial, situation that I didn't like how I was being spoken to, and I was already fed up about being there. Right. And so you came in like this, and I was like, oh, man, I was ready. Really? Let me tell you everything about yourself, right? And where you came from, and where you should go back, right? And I saw the hurt in that person's eyes, and I was like, oh, I don't ever, 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 ever want to be in that position. Right. So I've learned over time that me reacting to combative behavior from another person, like that air sign, that I'm a fan of flame, it's going to get hotter than any of us really can deal with.
But listen to what you're saying. You're going to fan the flame,
I'm
right?
Definitely going to fan the flame.
Right, but that means when the person retaliates, how do you feel about that? You can't feel no way because you were fanning the flame.
No, I enjoy it. Oh, you don't
fanning
understand.
The flame.
Oh, God, I really enjoy the fight.
Oh, my
like,
goodness.
We can just burn the whole thing down and go completely wild with it. Yeah. And because, and that's the learned behavior, right? Yeah. Because I saw it growing up, I saw this concept of you fight, right? Yeah. That's something I know, right? And it wasn't like fight, we just kicking each other and killing each other, whatever. I just watched how the adults, not just my parents, but how they interacted with each other in those relationships. Yeah. That you cuss out this one person, you abuse out this next person, and go back and forth for infinity, right? I don't want no parts of that. Like I don't ever want to be in a position that is what's happening. So my voice became one of discernment. Like I discern the relationships that deserve the whole story. Because sometimes that thing you said about people can't decide that I could just agree to disagree.
That's true.
But we disagree, and I gotta be right. Right. And I'm like, well, you're right.
That before.
I'm like, you're right. Because that freedom that comes from, I don't have to now talk to you about what I see, because the same way you see me, I can see you, right? So I can tell you about and this, that, and the other thing in the middle, right? Yeah. And you feel attacked. But that's not the purpose of why are we having a disagreement. Yeah. We're having a disagreement because we can't communicate with each other. Right. And I think that finding your voice and allowing yourself to trust your voice allows me to go, sometimes you have to be left with the story that you created and be comfortable that at least you know the story. Right. Yeah. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, but I think I've come into a space where even as a teenager, I wasn't combative unless I had to be.
But how many times in your life in that had to? Like, I was not combative, but I was, right? Right. I wasn't the person to go look for the fight, or the argument, or anything. Yeah. But if it came,
I mean, if I have an opinion, I was always of, and I think this is too from education.
That's the point.
You know,
because my thing isn't it's not physical fighting. It's that we
battle
can
of words in school. Right. One of the reasons why I was on the debate team in my college.
Different.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Different.
So
because there's rules of engagement.
There are, and I always bring that to a fight. Mm-hmm. Rules of engagement.
You are bringing right.
There are certain ethics or certain
right.
ways. There are certain ways I think you could influence people into spaces, right? Mm-hmm. That's why they're influencers.
Right? on the world.
Right. You could influence people into behaviors, right? Because
they're by your words or by your actions.
By your words and both. Whatever medium you choose. Yep. By your silence. We have and I think that's what it is about learning yourself. Your voice doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be. It does not. There are different levels to your volume, right?
Because you constantly
you're playing with it,
right? All those things,
right? You're constantly trying to erase the static.
I think it's
whatever. Whatever. We're talking about room.
We're talking about room, but it's things to do with this way. We are shifting. It's all right. In the whole spirit.
Yes, but it's so. I think. I used to go to school, just to segue for a bit, I used to go to school with this girl, and I think this story I told you before in one of our lives. Mm-hmm. I used to love Akian, if you're listening.
She listen.
I know, right? But Akian. So, remember I told you how...
The Caribbean always put an N after every name.
But that's an African name, though.
Akian?
Yes.
Really?
That's an African name. So listen to this. Right. Remember when I tell you how, my blackness, it's not something that I had to learn.
No,
it's something
not.
that was just, it was a way of life.
I was born into it.
Right. Mm-hmm. We were, even people I used to go to school with, this chick, right? You couldn't tell, don't speak ill of no black folk. Because her parents in Trinidad, they were two educators. And they were educators at really good schools, right? And they were black educators at that. And Akian's father used to look like Lionel Richie, but he used to look like a nerdy Lionel Richie, tall. But, her father was lanky. He had a beard. No, he didn't have a Jerry curl, but he had a little afro. He had a little afro, Mm-hmm. And... when you
circa 1970 something.
This was in the 80s.
No, I'm talking about Lionel Richie circa 1970.
Right. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I had to think about it.
You're funny. Yeah, so I think a lot about how I communicate with the adults that I was also surrounded by.
Yeah.
And influenced by. He used to talk to you, and when he spoke to you, he'd be like, yeah, how are you? Really trying to find out how your day was.
And
very direct. Mm-hmm. Even up to now, I'm like that, and it makes people very uncomfortable.
Because it's a learned trait, and also one of, we think about our survival as Black and brown people and indigenous people in worlds that always try to make us feel like we don't belong in. Yeah. You stare at a person in the eye, it's this confrontational space that the other people take, right?
Right.
But we have to be able to stand in our own right and be able to hold our own space and look spirit to spirit.
Because it's a way of demonstrating your agency also, right?
Always. It's your autonomy. You can't look away, you can't be this, you can't be that. And so being able to stay steady while you see the person feeling uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Because
I'm just here. I am not giving you anything more than what I'm asking to receive.
Yeah. So forward to what I was saying. Akian was this kind of personality where, listen, it's either she say something, you're gonna like it, or you're gonna leave it. Mm-hmm. Ain't no middle ground, okay? If she don't like you,
that's your voice.
Right. If she don't like you, I don't like you.
Wow.
So that you knew the space. If you
chose to boundaries.
If you still chose to deal with her, she already told you she doesn't like you. So if you choose to interact with her, it's going to be from that space. She'll still talk to you, but she don't like you.
So my question. To that, and which I think is a powerful space to be in.
Yeah.
But can that block you off?
No.
Because if you don't know the person,
yeah,
or maybe she does, maybe it was she took time to observe and see whatever.
yeah.
Have you been in situations where you see a person and go, man, I don't like you. I'm watching all the things, seeing how I don't like you.
How could you know that you don't like the person?
I don't move like that, but there's tons of people who
look
in the
energy,
world.
Yeah.
They go on social media and they see whatever,
right,
and they decide they like a person.
Right.
I love that person. You've never met that person ever in your life. All you see is what they've put out into the world.
Right.
But you have full, like a committed relationship in your head about this
Right.
person.
Well, nothing is wrong with that because I think as human beings, we are being from a space of love, right?
Mhm.
That's how we're supposed to be.
Nothing is wrong.
Until, right?
Mm-hmm.
Until someone does something to affect
Mm-hmm.
that freeness or that space,
Mm-hmm.
then you're like, you have a, like a gauge to go by to say, yeah, I don't like you.
But bringing it back into the relationships that you have, right? I'm thinking about this voice, right? This voice that I'm allowing to get stronger and stronger. It gets bigger and bigger. It demands and commands all that I need and all the things. There is still that space that you can meet a person in a time of their lives that repels you somewhat.
Yeah.
So I don't like you. Okay, let's Akian. And how old were you? She was like, y'all were 12,
were young.
12,
13,
12-year-old, 13-year-old
12.
who hasn't experienced life in a full way, but she's old spirit, so she knows all the things, right? I don't like you, bye, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that same construct and level of how we deal with people as 25, 35, 45, 55 is rooted in 12-year-old Akian. Like, right. I don't like you, right? But you didn't know nothing about life. You don't know that people could change, that they could grow, that they go through some shit, and they come back. So you out here, giving like real life decisions about how you're going to interact with someone based on who you are from your 12-year-old self. And that's why I come back to that space of that time, right? Like my 12-year-old self probably moved in with an adult man and I met his 12-year-old self and we had children, right? Yeah. Right? And I think it's time that allows you to grow and allow that voice, that 12-year-old to go, I love you, but there's more parts to this story, right? Or I love you and you're right, you're so right, but we don't have to yell and we don't have to scream, right? Or I love you, 12-year-old self with a real opinion, but this is not the moment anymore where you have to feel like you have to not have voice. You can speak, you can open up, you can say. And I really believe that with difficulty, but with effort, you will attract people who are also allowing their 12-year-old selves or whatever age to allow their voice to mature and to be able to communicate so now we can really hear each other. Right. Whether it's monogamy, polygamy, polyandry, this and that, you still got to work with you first before you go and say you're going to buck up with somebody and say, hey, let's live life together. Yeah, that's what it's all about, right? Yeah. That's it. That's it. That's really what it's all about. But, you said, yeah. Okay, and also, but.
And, I think sometimes it's good to make room for people to demonstrate their voices, freely.
Absolutely. Yeah. Not sometimes.
It's all the time. It's something that we should just do.
Because people will tell you who they are. Yeah. All the time. Yeah. Yeah. Wherever they are in their experience, their voices, like we said, isn't just words. Right. It's actions and deeds. It's right? Your vibe, how you come in. Right. We are a vibration. We're a whole walking vocal cord. What do you think about it? It's true, yes. Yeah. All right. So, I think that was good. Yeah, that was good. For our listeners or viewers here, because we're on YouTube, so people are viewing us. They're definitely viewing us. Tell us how you demonstrate your voices. Tell us what makes you shut down, or the situations that you've been in where you felt that as though your voice had been taken away. Oh my gosh, we live in a society, and we said that, right?
where, our voices, tend to be dimmed or turned down a little bit.
But I think how you show up gives you more and more space to find your agency. Yeah, I really am interested in how people find their voices, because it's not just the verbal.
No, it's not.
Yeah, like what is that for you?
I think it's something from small. Let me tell you a story, right? I remember the first time I consulted somebody.
This thing is over 47 minutes already, and we still talking, right?
Because
all right, okay, go on.
We're going to shut it down just now. I remember the first time when I told an adult exactly how I felt because she was offending someone that was close to me.
In school?
No, it was an adult, and I was young, and I was like, no, you can't do this. And you're in the person's domain also. I'm like, no, and let me tell you, when I found my voice that day to tell that person what I thought about the situation, because you know what that did too?
What did it do?
It made them realize that I looking. I'm paying attention. I'm paying close attention. Okay? And you know what?
You see your face. I'm looking.
Yes, I looking. Okay?
That's right.
And adults
it's not going unseen.
Exactly.
Yes.
You ain't sweeping nothing under the rug here.
Exactly.
I seeing it.
Yes.
I bringing it out.
And I go in and tell. Go ahead.
Okay, that was the attitude. You understand?
Good. It's like you see something, say something,
yes,
you go in and say something.
That's a real thing.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
And what a blessing you had a life that you had somebody to know and tell.
Yeah.
Because that's what encourages, I think, when we think about strengthening voices about the people in our lives, our children, these people who you love, giving them space to know that they could come and tell you. I'm not talking about gossiping.
Right.
I'm talking about this is what is happening.
Yes.
Come, I need you to know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you think,
look at Sandra.
Do you?
Oh! She's not even looking.
She's not even looking inside. I know, right?
Okay, we're finished. That was great.
Do you know what though? I have a question for our viewers.
We're totally gonna edit this.
We are. But I have a question for our viewers. Do you think that religion has...
we actually asked that earlier.
Not religion, though. I said upbringing.
No, I mean before we started the video.
Before we started the video,
yes.
right. Mm-hmm. Do you think that religion has an influence on how you demonstrate your voice?
Or if you have a voice. Or even if you have it, not even just demonstrating it.
Right.
Can religion...
Right. Turn down your volume?
Silence your voice.
Right. Right.
And can it enhance it?
Right.
Can it also enhance it?
Right.
Yeah.
So that's a question for our viewers. Leave your opinions or how you feel, whatever you want to feel, or put in the
if this video
comments.
nourished you.
And
nice glasses.
Let us know. Thank you. Let us know if what the video or what our posts do for you. Mm-hmm. Like, share, and comment, and please hit the subscribe button.
Y'all hear her voice?
Like us.
You hear the voice?
Okay.
That's the voice.
Right? You're funny.
All right, that's dope.